I just wanted to make a quick video of this issue I've been having, in case anyone else has been having it. This is in regards to the Volkswagen VWR springs mounted up with their own factory VW struts, which I currently have right here. This is my setup. I've been running this setup for about 3 years now. I was convinced by somebody to put on the 034 Motorsports mount, strut bushing and bearing, saying that it lasts longer and it's just a better product than the OEM. I was very hesitant, but I did it anyways. And to, I guess, my surprise, maybe not my surprise, I've been having a very loud clunking noise, knocking noise on my front suspension under small bumps. I didn't have this problem the entire time I had this set up on the OEM bushing and bearing. It only occurred as soon as I put on the 034 Motorsports bearing. So what I'm going to do for you guys, because I've done a couple of tests, I'm going to show you what I believe is the issue. And so on my left, this is the 034 Motorsport bushing, upper strut bushing and bearing. I believe the bearings are pretty much all the same as far as for factory or aftermarket, but what I found is that with the 034 Motorsports on the left and a brand new OEM on the right, there isn't really much that can make a noise if you bolt this up properly, which, trust me guys, I've checked every bolt 100 times, even torqued it to spec, and I'm still getting that knocking noise. But the only difference that I found between the two bushings is the bearing is the same, but as you can see right now, the bearing in the OEM bushing is a lot firmer. It sticks in there quite well. I'm actually going to have to set this down and pull this apart. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. That pops back in there. Trying to get the bearing out of the bushing. Bear with me for a second. I have to use a pliers here and kind of tweak it out. And this is the very problem I believe I am having with the 034 Motorsports, is that, now that we have them both out, I'll set them here aside. Again, 034 Motorsports on the left, OEM on the right. Whenever I mount the bushing into the 034 Motorsport, it fits, it twists, it does what it's supposed to do. However, when you turn this upside down, simple pressure gravity test, it falls out. My belief is that I don't know if you can see this, but the diameter of the inside of the bushing here is not to spec. It is larger than spec. The diameter is larger. And that causes, even under pressure, I don't know if you can see that, but there is play. That play is what I believe I'm hearing when I'm going over small bumps and imperfections in the road. I do this exact same test with the OEM new bushing and bearing. I mount this bad boy in there, press it down real hard. I can turn this upside down and nothing falls out. Nothing whatsoever. This is not coming out of there unless I pry it out of there. And again, if I try and move this and shake it, I got no play at all. It's hard for me to do with one hand, but it really is firm and snug in there. Whereas this one, again, it moves. Even if it's 1 millimeter, 2 millimeters max, I'm getting play in that bushing, which is causing my noise, so I believe. And again, I didn't have this issue when I had it mounted up, the setup mounted to OEM bushings, so I went back, bought new bushings on the OEM side. I'm going to mount them back up and take it for a drive, and let's see if this actually cures it. Okay, so I got the new OEM front strut bushing and bearing mounted up. I did get, I have the right tool for this. A lot of people don't. They just put the impact wrench on it, but really you should be using the special tool for this that sinks down in here, and then you can tighten with the Allen. I've torqued it down to spec, so now I'm going to try and get this reinstalled, and we'll get the other side done, and then we'll take it for a drive. But yeah, that's that. Once again, I'm now working on the passenger side of the front strut, and again I've got the 034 Motorsports on the left and the OEM bushing and bearing on the right. Same thing, same test. Just take the bearing and drop it into the bushing housing, and I turn it upside down, and it just wants to fall out every single time. Again, I believe that's because the bearing housing is larger than the bearing, and even under pressure, even though you've got this thing bolted down to the strut and everything with the weight of the car on it, there's still movement in here, and movement is play, and play under pressure creates sound. Sorry, it's not focusing here. Again, I'm moving this thing around with just my hand. There's too much play in there. If I go over to the new OEM setup, again, the difference, I don't know if you noticed or not, but it's black inside, black on the top, and there are no arrow indications for what direction these should be mounted. As most of you probably already know, these are supposed to be mounted with the arrows, such as the OEM has up here, facing front to back of the car. No arrows on the 034s. So hope you know what you're doing and you pay attention when you take your old ones off, if you plan on using these. Again, so back to my test. I put the 034, the OEM bushing inside the housing and get a little compression, and it's in there. It ain't falling out. There is no play in this whatsoever. So I feel more confident that this is my solution. Again, once I get it mounted up, we'll go for a drive. We'll see if I still have the knocking noise. I'm hoping we don't. I'm not trying to obviously discredit or knock, so to speak, no pun intended, the 034 brand, but a lot of guys I've read on the forums are having this problem with this exact same setup with the VWR springs and the OEM struts. No one found a solution. I did find a thread where someone measured the inside of the housing diameter of the 034 Motorsport and the OEM, and they said they had a 2 millimeter difference on the driver's side and a 2.5 millimeter difference on the passenger side. So once I read that, I felt confident that that was my issue, and so that's what I'm hoping for here. So I'm going to go ahead and get back to work and mount up the new OEM and get this strut reinstalled. Taking the car for a little test drive, making sure that everything working good, but it's also fun to have some fun. I can already tell you right away, well, first off, I live in Hawaii and our roads are shit, complete shit. Even though all we have to deal with is rain, we have the worst roads in the country. I've been around my block half my block already, and I can tell you already that the noise is gone. I'm not getting any clunking noises. I'm going over, not the smoothest roads, but definitely not the greatest roads either. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know if you can hear it in my voice, but we're hitting some nasty bumps right now. I feel pretty confident, actually, I feel 100% confident that the problem was exactly what I said it was. The bushing housing that comes with, from the 034 Motorsports is too large for the bearing. I believe the bearings are the same as far as OEMs, but the bushing housing is larger diameter, which causes the bearing to move around inside. And that moving around inside over small bumps and imperfections makes a knocking noise, a clunking noise of sorts. So I'm happy that we figured it out, or I figured it out. I know there's a lot of guys out there that have gone away from this setup, particularly because of this problem. So the problem is the 034 Motorsports. Again, I'm not knocking the company. They make some great stuff. I'm actually returning mine to get an in-store credit to buy something else from them. So maybe they just need to revise their strut mounts to be more precise measurements and fitment. So I hope that helps you guys out. I know it helped me out a lot making the decision, figuring it out. But those bearings, when they sit in that housing, they should be snug. It should be as snug as it gets. That way, even under pressure and under load from the spring in the way of the car, there is no movement whatsoever. So yeah. I'm gonna go around the block one more time, do another pull or two. So hang on for a second. Okay, here we go. Sorry about the loop-de-doop. Got a steering wheel mounted camera. So from second gear, 22 miles an hour, it's probably gonna drop down to first. But here we go.